Hello, my name is Kobe Tinsley, and today I'm going to be talking about the issues revolving around the game of baseball during the 2019, 2020, and 21 season. And during the course of that year, obviously during 2019, COVID was a big factor in the game of baseball. Granted that there was only a 60-game season, and they were cutting it short due to COVID and all the traveling restrictions that they were having at the time. And so, one of the biggest things that was going around in the game of baseball was the usage of technology and advancements in technology to be able to help teams when it came to scouting reports and looking at other pitchers and actually communicating with coaches on the team. And so, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Boston Red Sox scandal, which is something that happened to them during the 2019 season where they were caught using smartwatches, communicating with other players and coaches on the team to be able to give them an advantage on certain things. And obviously, this is something that is should be very looked at in the game of baseball, but really hasn't been looked at very much because of the advancements in technology. And so, one of those things that will help the opposing team is being able to communicate with, say, the head coach to the bullpen. Instead of having to call and wait for that call to go all the way down, he can literally just shoot him a text. Boop, it's right there on his phone. Next thing you know, he's having a guy warming up in the bullpen. And so that is something that Major League Baseball is definitely going to have to take a look at when it comes to how they're going to go about enforcing the rules with technology and all those things. And obviously, the biggest thing that went around was the Houston Astros scandal, which was a giant issue in the game of baseball. It honestly shook the whole baseball community because of the way that they treated it and the way that Rob Manfred actually treated it himself. And during the course of that, they were using a TV screen and basically a monitor to be able to communicate with the hitters on what pitch and what location is going to be coming to the hitters. And we don't know the exact logistics to how they were doing it or what they were doing, but in reality, they were basically using somebody with a camera to be able to look at the catcher's signs, and in return, they would let the hitter know how and what pitch was going to be thrown at the time. And obviously, this is something that cannot happen in the game of baseball. You're basically cheating because knowing what pitch is going to come completely changes a hitter's perspective when it comes to an at bat. And also, it messes with the pitchers too because in the back of their minds, they know that they have your signs. So obviously, that was something that was addressed during 2020 season, and that is something that is going to continue to be looked at, obviously, because some of the players that were affected during that are still playing in the game of baseball today. And that is something the MLB was definitely going to have to address. And the last thing I'm going to be talking about is the usage of substances when it comes to pitchers and how they are throwing the baseball. And so one of the biggest things and one of the biggest pitchers revolving around that is Trevor Bauer. And I've spoken on him before in my midterm and talked about how he was using different things to give an advantage when it came to his spin rate. And so spin rate in the game of baseball is how many revolutions per minute is your ball spinning from the time it leaves your hand to the catcher's glove. And from that, he basically did his own test and realized that he can use some sort of substance to be able to give him an advantage against hitters when it came to gripping a baseball and what substance he was going to use. And so to give us some more light on the subject, I'm going to bring in one of our pitchers, actually at Auto University, to talk about some of the issues revolving around that subject. And so here we are. We have Anthony Quatrocki, our starting pitcher for Ottawa University.
Thank you, bro.
Yep. And so first thing I'm going to ask is, Q, what do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage for the pitchers?
It is the biggest advantage right now in Major League Baseball if you want to get your RPMs, your revolutions per second up. So basically, so you get a baseball like this, and there's pine tar is meant for a hitter. So hitters, it's meant to grip a bat, all that stuff. And now you put on a pitcher, and it's basically you put on like your fingertips or like you can put on your hat, anything like that, and get like a grip on it, and it helps like with like basically like grip. In a Major League Baseball, if you ever felt it, it's very slippery. Everyone knows that, and so that's why they've invented pine tar. And so the pine tar right now is just the biggest. Like it's something that's like never like it's not even talked about, which is bizarre to me. No one like Rob Manfred, like he mentioned before about the Astro scandal, he hasn't even talked about the pine tar going on, and it's something that's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And pitchers are just going to get better and better and better. You see guys every year come out of nowhere, and you're like, who the heck is this guy? Where's he been? And he's having the highest RPMs in baseball just out of nowhere. Like, for example, Devin Williams, Shane Bieber, guys of those roles came out of nowhere this year because of pine tar, and their spin rates are just through the roof. And it's something that we may never see changed, or it's something that it could be changed. But there's a reason why pitchers are throwing harder than ever, have the nastiest stuff ever, and honestly, another reason why hitters are hitting the ball farther than ever too. And so it's something that probably is going to be here to stay, as if Manfred never mentions anything on it. But yeah.
And thank you, Hugh, very much for
Anytime.
enlightening us on that subject. And so, to wrap it all up, I think that it's a huge address, something that Rob Manfred, like Hugh has said, needs to address when it comes to pitchers and like the position players. Pine tar is something that has revolutionarily changed the game when it comes to having grip on a bat. And now that pitchers are having the opportunity to put it on their glove, the brim of their hat, just wherever to give themselves an advantage, is completely changing the way that baseball is being played. And so with that, I'd like to thank you all and hope you guys have a great day.